What are you adding to the notes, you cretin?
Sorry.
Hello, welcome to So We're Watching That Right, a podcast where two lesbians bully each other for having the same taste in anime. I'm Becky, scientifically certified best girl.
And I'm Val, everyone's favorite harem protagonist.
We're sort of in the lull before the climax of the season, which, it's wild to call this a lull, but it sure is pointing us in some odd directions. I have to start by telling you what happened in this week's episode of The Villainess is Adored by the Prince of the Neighbouring Kingdom.
Yep.
Which is episode 10. So, Aqua's kingdom has three kinds of fairies. Sea fairies, sky fairies, and forest fairies. And each kind of fairy has a king. We've met King Keith of the forest fairies already. The other two kings are King Claire of the sky fairies and King Pearl of the sea fairies. And Claire has started to take a bit of an interest in Tiara because basically every man who sets eyes on her falls in love with her in this world. So he's starting to pay attention to her, and he comes to visit her. And, you know, it's a social call. Aqua is blessed by the sky fairies, so he knows Aqua already. And he brings a special coral tea with him for them to drink as a guest gift. But he says that he got it from Pearl, the sea fairy king.
Mm-hmm.
And Pearl has already clearly established that she hates Tiara. She's real mad at Tiara. She's super angry about something. It's not clear what. And Claire dresses very femme.
Mm-hmm.
Is mistaken for a woman by everybody who meets him for the first time. And in this conversation, it is revealed that the reason he dresses like a woman is because he heard that Pearl hates men, and he was trying to make her more comfortable around him. Pearl, being the sea fairy, can manifest in any body of water, and she often pops up, like, in their teacups.
Mm.
Or at one point, like, Tiara's in the bath, and she has a basin of water by the bath for, like, washing her hair and stuff. And Pearl pops up in that to yell at her and chew her out. Anyway, the way things fall together is that the reason Pearl is mad at Tiara is that Pearl thinks that Claire has fallen for Tiara, and Pearl is in love with Claire. And as the dress thing suggests, Claire likes Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
He has met Tiara and been charmed by her, because she's charming, but it's not anything more than that. But Pearl is getting more and more jealous about this, and eventually she snaps and gives Isilla a love potion with which to steal Aqua from Tiara.
Okay.
And Pearl is so heartbroken that eventually she cracks and gives him the love potion, and then immediately regrets it, but he's already taken a drink. So that's where the drama's going to come from in this show, I guess. At least it finally did something.
Yeah. Good grief.
Just a wild episode.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes it a perfect warm-up for talking about the final 3 episodes of Hana-kimi.
Yeah, some things sure happened.
Some things really did sure happen. So these last 3 episodes are entirely a festival arc. This school has a 3-day cultural festival combined with sports day. And 3 episodes is a lot to go through that shit in a 12-episode series.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow it still feels incredibly rushed. Like, Nanba, the RA of their dorm, has a whole arc in here about a girl that he was in love with who's come back into his life and he resents her and he gets over it and shit. And it's just so weird to have it in the middle of all of this.
Yeah, none of it felt like substantive in the middle of all of this stuff that they're trying to do about everyone's doing a cross-dressing cafe and there's a Miss Osaka contest or whatever, and it's just like so much shit is happening, and it just kind of like
one scene each episode is like Nanba wangsting about this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, this is another place where the material really shows its age, because okay, anime always have like cultural festivals and sports days that are amped up beyond reality.
Mm-hmm.
But this is so amped up. In a series that is not terribly fantastical.
Yeah, it's also like, it's amped up, but it's amped up in the way that 30 years ago it would have been amped up. Like, the power scaling is way off in this show.
Yeah. It's sort of vaguely reminiscent of some of the Kaguya-sama stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
Although that also went way harder in goofy ways because that was a rich kid situation.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like there's kind of some Kakegurui energy here, although I still haven't watched Kakegurui. But it's like, this school is not just an ordinary school, it's fucking life or death. And yeah, it's a combined cultural festival and sports day. It's all competition. One of the final day events is a cross-dressing beauty pageant for the prettiest boy in school. They have the RAs from the 3 dorms do a school spirit competition, which is about them, like, doing a performance where they're basically chanting inspirational school slogans.
They're doing a male cheerleader routine.
Yeah.
Which hits real weird.
It was so uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of weird stuff with people pressuring Mizuki into entering the beauty pageant. And that maybe wasn't as uncomfortable to watch as the school spirit competition.
It sure wasn't, which is fucked up.
Yep. Anyway, running through all of this, there's a sports dorm, there's Dorm B, which is kind of mixed specializations, and then there's an arts dorm. And the less said about the arts dorm, the better. They barely figure except for their absurd, over-the-top president of the theatre club character that I would definitely have cosplayed back in the day. Guy.
This is, unfortunately, where I say I was going to compare him to Olivier from Trails in the Sky. And I think that
this is
that particular combo of comments is just really painful for you, huh?
Maybe we do need to watch Gravitation so that you can get to grips with who K is. Because I did cosplay K and he is absolutely that type.
Well, you can put it on the docket.
Yeah, more BL shenanigans. Anyway, the Sports Dorm are particularly aggressive about winning the festival this year for God knows what reason.
Mm-hmm.
And they identify Mizuki's running ability as one of the biggest threats to their victory because the final event is a 5x400 relay. And they know that Dorm B will put Mizuki in as their anchor and she's going to run all over them. Which, many things about this show are nonsense, but this teen girl, who isn't even in any of the athletic clubs, being that level of threat to the athlete dorm
of a boys' school
is a bit weird.
It's really funny.
And, like, they end up making a plot to kidnap her and lock her in a storeroom to prevent her participating in the relay.
It's the most fucking ridiculous thing the show has done, which is a high bar, to be clear.
This plot also...
A bar that Sano could not jump over earlier in this show.
This plot also somehow involves one of them pushing a flower pot off a windowsill. Not to hit her and knock her out, but to land near her so she's scared or something?
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on there.
It's really just like very 1990s,
yeah,
you know, bullying.
Yeah. Like the fucking locker full of thumbtacks in the episode where she pissed off Nakao.
Yeah.
Anyway, some progress is made on the actual central relationship of the story, thank God. On the second night of the festival, Mizuki has a nightmare about all the ways she's being bullied by Dorm 1's guys. And she wakes up and she's super rattled by it. And Sano sort of half wakes up and Mizuki says she's had a bad dream, and Sano drags her into bed with him and snuggles her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning they are found in his bed by Nakatsu, who feels very normal about all this.
And they no-sell it because they're just like, oh, right, we gotta go. And Mizuki just doesn't process.
They no-sell it because there's no fucking time in the episode for it, is why they no-sell it.
Yeah, but it's also
Too much
really
shit
funny.
happens in this arc.
It's really funny to have Mizuki just go, oh, I need to go wash my face and get a shower. Holy shit, we're low on time. And that being true of both the series and the situation.
Yeah. It does kind of, like, by the end of the final episode, it does seem that Sano kind of has realized he's fallen for Mizuki too.
Mm-hmm.
Although he does, like, do the thing where he expresses some of that feeling at the moment where a gust of wind blows up so Mizuki doesn't hear.
Yeah.
Which, fine, I guess. We're glad this show is over.
Yeah.
Both of us, when we got to it yesterday, we were like, oh, thank God it's the final one. And it's not that we didn't enjoy it, right?
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Because, like...
It's very funny.
It is funny, but it also feels like it's dancing on the knife edge of homophobia at every single turn.
Yes. And the cross-dressing stuff is a minefield as well, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's of its time in the fast-moving world of anime.
And it's already 30 years late.
Yeah, it's so wild that they did an anime adaptation of this in the year of our Lord 2026. What the fuck?
Yeah. That's the thing that gets me most about this. Like, this had multiple live-action adaptations. Somehow it took until now to get an anime. I was like, if the equivalent happened in, like, 2004 or something,
yeah,
I would be fine with this. It wouldn't be a favorite of mine, but it would be like, this is fine. But 2026, it's so weird. It's a weird out-of-place artifact.
It is so very like Princess in its vibes. I know I keep mentioning that show.
We just need to watch more BL, apparently. A BL from your history, like...
We are going to get to this later. A weirdly large amount of my formative anime experiences were with BL.
The Fujo pressure to trans femme pipeline. We can... Even if we don't talk about that in particular, I will make that joke now.
It's kind of true. Why?
Fuck your Prime Directive. Get force-fed by your Fujo. It's fine.
Why could I possibly have been so engaged by all the BL shows in which a boy is put in a dress?
It's a mystery.
Who could ever have guessed? Anyway, let's talk about a show in which the gender stuff is not so painful.
Very true.
Because Gnosia wrapped up on Saturday.
Yeah, it's good.
And, like, this episode starts out with a replay of the opening of the show and Setsu asking the freshly reawoken Yuri, do you understand? And Yuri says yes, rather than no, because now they do. And Yuri has decided that because they are the bug and, like, they're the source of all the problems, they should sacrifice themselves for Setsu rather than Setsu living with the consequences of sacrificing themselves for Yuri. This is a really hard thing to do with two they-them characters.
Mm-hmm.
But Setsu is not going to accept this because this is the good ending. And remember all that stuff about Manan and SQ and Kukurushka? All of that pays off because Setsu rumbles that in that particular loop of all loops, SQ is actually Manan, and they transfer Manan into Kukurushka and send her to the other universe to somehow close all the time loops.
Yeah, because I follow the logic, because Kukurushka doesn't exist in all the loops that Yuri went through, where Setsu was also not there, indicating that they were, causally linked somehow. And because SQ, when she was in Gnosia, she was Manan, and they know the outcome of that first game. They know that Manan is right there and go, hey, Kukurushka hasn't been relevant in this version of things, but she was in the other one. So if we just lock the bad person in the doll and send them to the other one where she's supposed to be in the time loops, it's fine.
Yeah.
Push the bad person into the alternate dimension. This is not our problem anymore.
Pretty much. And it's clever how it wraps up. And it feels good how it wraps up. But ultimately what matters is at the end of the show, Setsu and Yuri are just lying on the floor, touching each other's faces and being super cute together. And I'll take it.
Yep.
Let the NBs be happy.
They've invented straight Yuri.
It's not straight. Two NBs can't be straight.
Yeah, and you argued that there has to be more than one gender. And I'm saying that Yuri has more than one gender between them. We have seen that through multiple time loops.
Yuri is not dating himself. That would be straight.
No, but Setsu is dating both of them, depending on the time loop. It's fine.
Polyamory where you date a boy and a girl is not straight.
If you're neither.
Is a silly argument.
If you're neither, it can be. We'd have to ask them. And we can't do that. It doesn't
matter. They're happy. I'm happy. Except about Roll Over and Die, episode 10. Because this fucking episode was a nightmare.
Yeah, I pretty much figured this was going to be how this episode went. Which was why I was not so catastrophically put off by this episode as you were, I think.
So here's the thing. You called it very early, and I didn't doubt that you were correct at all. It's just that the cinematography and the art and the animation through this whole episode were really effective at bringing the horror of it to life. The first half of this, I genuinely thought it had to be a dream sequence for a good 10 minutes, because it's Flum running around in this really thick mist, looking for people who have gone missing in one way or another. And the streets are...
I think some of it is not literally happening. Some of that is her contemplating things. But other parts of it were definitely, something about Silent Hills leaked into the into the town.
Yeah, the streets are basically deserted, and there's this fog everywhere. And characters that she has conversations with kind of just come out of the mist randomly wherever she happens to be. And then the mist stuff kind of fades away. And we get a bunch of stuff from Eterna about Ink, about how her heart isn't beating and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then more eyeball attacks and flesh orb stuff starts happening. And Milkit goes missing, and Flum is looking for Milkit. And the episode ends with her finding Ink, who is sat on her bed in her room with eyeballs raining out of her face.
Mm-hmm.
It's nightmare fuel. It's really powerful. I think it's really effective as a piece of horror TV, which is why it kind of got to me.
Yeah, Val note here. The bits where the fog went away were all the times that she was, in contact with her chosen family of Milkit and Eterna.
Yeah.
And then once both of those characters vanish, the fog sets back in. So it is very much a symbolic thing as well as, probably literal also. But
yeah,
I'm not as susceptible to horror as you. We've discussed that a lot. So I was just like, this is happening.
I enjoyed it. I was just bewildered.
Yeah, no, I was in a better headspace to process it, I think, than you.
Yeah. Anyway, also weirdly horrible was Reborn as a Dragon's Egg these last couple of weeks, episodes 9 and 10. Because basically what's happening is Doz, the guy who was trying to kill the rock dragon early on and got killed by it, has shown up as some sort of freaky cackling zombie, stolen the rock dragon's egg, brought it to the village and smashed it in front of the rock dragon to drive the rock dragon to fury so that it will destroy the village. We don't know why.
Yeah.
But Miria and Elucia, our hero, and various other characters try to defend the village, and Elucia needs to pick an evolution so that he can level up and gain some more power. But none of his evolutions have a good chance of beating the rock dragon. And the tutorial voice keeps telling him this and trying to get him to run away. But he eventually works out that what he needs to do is level up his evil titles so that he can unlock the full Plague Dragon evolution. Because of course you use poison damage to defeat a rock dragon.
Status effects.
Yeah, except that when he does level up, he doesn't really use status effects on the rock dragon. He just beats the crap out of it.
I mean, eventually he does get to the point where he, holds it in place and then starts poisoning it.
It's true. Anyway, the net effect of this is that he has to kill one of the villagers. This is a villager who, gives his life willingly, but none of the other villagers know that. So now all the villagers think that he killed one of them, and also, now that he's the Plague Dragon, he's so toxic that they can't be around him. And, good, go back to your wife, man.
To be completely transparent, it's because the aftermath of him poisoning the rock dragon to death is still hanging around in the air.
Yes.
And Miria tries to step in and defend him. If he got that under control and wasn't in a hot zone,
yes,
he would probably be fine. But
yeah. So I don't know how that show is going to kind of wrap up its season, but I really hope that it involves him going back to the lizard, because she's just been absent for 2 episodes.
I know you miss his wife.
In Holy Grail of Holy Grail of episode 10, Eris.
I love you so much.
At least I didn't call it Grimoire this time.
Yeah.
I almost did when writing the notes.
Well, you didn't, so that's good.
In this episode, various things happen, but the important things are developments in Randolph and Connie's relationship. They go to investigate a warehouse, and they are ambushed by Daedalus thugs who want to kill him, and Randy tells Connie to run, and he will stay behind and cover her escape, and she, of course, does not run. She sticks around to help him, and he starts scolding her for this, and she normally calls him Ka, which is translated as my lord, like it's a term of kind of respect for authority.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's talking about martyring himself for her, she starts calling him Bakaka, which they localize as your stupid ship.
That's really good.
This is my stupid ship now, is these two. But they have a nice scene where they do actually say, well, maybe actually we like the idea of this engagement, independently of whether it's politically convenient. And as soon as they've said that, Connie gets framed for some shit or other, kidnapping the missing prince.
Yeah.
And she gets arrested, and in order to protect Randolph, she breaks off the engagement.
By, going, yeah, I did it, and here's all these details, staring down the guy trying to frame her.
Also,
which is a power move, but...
Also, the officer who comes to arrest her is a Daedalus agent.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's interrogating her, obviously there's a guy transcribing the interrogation, and she names Daedalus into the record.
Yeah.
Which the interrogator is big mad about.
Yep.
Anyway, Randolph comes to see her in prison one last time, and they talk, and she says, I'm doing this so that you have a free hand to investigate this and catch everyone. And they have an emotional goodbye, and he leans through the bars to kiss her on the forehead goodbye. And she looks up at him and goes, just my forehead? It's like, fair,
He also had a fair response, which was, well, someone who isn't engaged, you probably shouldn't kiss you on the mouth.
Oh, that's true, yes. Yeah, it's good. I think it's going to be okay, that show.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of a show that I think is going to be okay, I'm not sure about the characters in it.
That is the most this show, truly.
We don't have a lot to say this week about General Witch, episode 11, I think, but we did enjoy the fact that Asa is collecting all of Makio's trash talk.
Yeah.
Part of this episode is Valentine's Day, and Asa is very annoying about it to a variety of people in fun ways.
Yeah.
All of which is growing out of the fact that she's a little bit frustrated that she doesn't feel like she's in love with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because the anticlimax after the previous episode is that the girl that she was mesmerized by at the end of the previous episode has not attended school since because she's having a crash out. Quite a justified crash out, but a crash out nevertheless. But there is a scene in this episode where Asa is introduced to another of Makio's friends from the Daigo friend group. And this friend kind of wants to listen to Asa vent about her teen drama. And Asa is talking about all this stuff around, I don't really know what type of person I'm going to be, and whether it's better for a person like me to stand out or to fade into the background and stuff. And the friend is like, bollocks to all of that. You should just do whatever you want. And so Asa bursts into song, and she sings the ending, I think?
Yeah, my brain could not without that backing track, I could not parse whether that was the opening or the ending, but it's one of those two.
Pretty sure it's the ending, and it's a beautiful performance, and they agree it's a beautiful performance. So hopefully, finally, she's there was a very brief shot in here of somebody putting up flyers for a vocal audition for a band. So hopefully she's going to get into a band and get to sing with other people.
I mean, it was for the auditions that she already said she wasn't going to do, remember?
Oh, true. Yes. Hopefully she will.
Yeah.
We do get a brief glimpse of Emery on her Valentine's date with her girlfriend, which warmed my soul immensely.
Mm-hmm.
And we get Makio is preparing for a book signing, and Asa is surprised at the idea that Makio would be confident enough to do public speaking at all.
Yeah.
And Makio's friend says, well, she gave a great speech at my wedding, even though we then got divorced. And Makio responds, I think I could have given an even better speech for a divorce. She's the perfect woman.
Good.
How can I not love her to pieces?
Sorry, I can't be that cool.
I think you could give an absolutely savage speech.
I'm not that mean. I don't have her trash talk repertoire. It's.
I bet you could. You're good at words.
Not like you, apparently.
Not like me. No.
I'm never mean, and I've never been mean.
You're mean to me all the time, you bitch.
Only when it's funny.
That doesn't change the fucking thing. I am well aware that as a British person, it is always funny to be mean to me.
Good. Get used to it. Love you.
Hey, audience, if you're listening to this, show me sympathy, please. This is what I have to put up with.
I'm sorry. You calling me Monster is my favorite pet name, and I'm not gonna... That's not gonna stop being true.
Brat.
That's my second favorite.
I know! Talk about in the clear Moonlit Dusk, episode 10, in which it's still summer. Yoi has made no further time to hang out with Kohaku. She gets a day free at work because her dad gets food poisoning, and she's about to reach out to Kohaku when OG asks her to do the shopping trip that she promised to do with him to buy presents for his younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
And what we discover is that he and Yoi have a lot in common. They are both jocks who have trouble talking to girls, which in another context would be extremely funny. But I was just so tense this whole episode because I knew that Yoi was going to fuck things up somehow. And so far, the only thing she's done that's fucked things up is go on a date with someone who's not her boyfriend, which does suck, but she also truly doesn't understand what's going on because she does not have the right shape of brain for it yet. But it does all build up to OG confessing to her.
Yep.
And then walking off, and she just stands there, like, while the credits roll. And then after the credits, she runs off after him. And please don't, girl, go to your actual boyfriend.
She didn't run off after him. She went in the direction she was already going to walk home. You are presuming some things.
Why did she burst into a run, though?
I don't know. Maybe she wants to get home so she can talk to her boyfriend.
Let's hope so. Somehow still not as stupid as You Can't Be in a Rom-com with Your Childhood Friends, episode 11, that we just watched.
I'm sorry, this is peak. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's peak stupid.
It piques your anger.
Yes.
Oh, that's a squeaky voice. I like that one.
Mean to me.
By liking you? That's so crazy.
And yet when I do this to you, it's unacceptable.
Yeah? How does it feel?
Bah. So,
are you good?
Give me strength.
You need
I'm
it.
gonna need it to talk about this show.
We only have one more episode left. It's fine.
How are they going to wrap any of this up in one episode?
They won't. They will resolve the current crisis, which is...
We'll get to the current crisis. This episode starts out with Akari thinking that Shio confessed to Ayu and got rejected, and Haru thinking that Ayu confessed to Shio and got rejected. When, of course, what happens is that Shio deliriously kissed Ayu, and that's why they can't speak to each other anymore. These various misunderstandings result in pep talks that are somehow effective, and they resolve to talk to one another. Shio calls Ayu, but she's running downstairs as she does so, and she drops her phone and it breaks. Ayu panics, worrying that she might have, fucking split her head open and died, and goes all over town looking for her. Whereas what she does is she goes home and climbs into his bedroom, as she always does, to wait for him. So when he gets home, she climbs out onto the roof that she uses to access his bedroom window, and she starts trying to talk about the kiss, and slips and falls off the roof on top of him and kisses him again.
Mm-hmm.
And then says, I want us to continue being friends like we were before.
Yep.
And Ayu affirms the same decision. And the net result of this is that the next time we see them all, which is at Sports Day, he has transcended to a higher level of friendship. The energy he is putting out is creepy anime parody of a kids anime mascot character.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what if Five Nights at Freddy's Doraemon? And the girls are all deeply unsettled by this. And it still somehow ends up with them all cuddle piling with him. And next episode, they are somehow going to have to snap him out of it.
Yep.
And I don't fucking know. I'm so glad that you and I are polar episodes Polar. I am so glad that You and I Are Polar Opposites is back this week. Or rather, episode 9's dub finally came out. Because not watching the show for a week was hard. I think we both missed... I'm not the only one who was, pining for it, right?
I was not pining for it because I had other rom-coms I was, reading and stuff. But definitely, it was a lot... I was missing it a lot more than I realized.
Yeah. I was checking Crunchyroll every day in case the dub dropped.
But nope, it's just a week behind.
Yeah, despite having found an announcement somewhere that was saying it's going to be a week behind. Because I've got to have something to counterbalance all the childhood friends and Moonlit Dusks and all that shit.
And I'm not good enough to manage that myself.
You're there to cause problems, not solve them.
I know, and yet you complain.
That's part of the fun.
I know, and so is this. I'm allowed to have fun too.
Nope, banned.
Damn. You hear that, everyone?
You just gotta sit there looking pretty.
Well, that's impossible, so that's a real high bar for me.
This episode is off the rails.
Yeah? Fucking, you knew what I was like when we got into this recording booth.
Yeah. Anyway, it's Tanny's birthday. He's worrying because he thinks Suzuki is going to set up some big showy surprise for him. And he knows that he doesn't know how to react to that sort of thing. But actually, Suzuki has clearly learned a bit how to be sensitive to that. And what she does is they have a really private, just the two of them celebration that's super sweet. And then they have a birthday date at the weekend. And Suzuki asks Tanny to be the one to make the plans and pick things that he wants to do. And he kind of doesn't have specific wants. But they pick some things, and nothing goes perfectly, and everything goes great. The vibes are immaculate. And stitched through all of this is some stuff about Azuma and Taira. And Taira thinks no one will do anything to celebrate his birthday. But Azuma remembers and gives him a birthday gift. And you can tell that his self-indulgently miserable, cold teenage heart is starting to thaw. It's subtle, but it's so good. In the complete opposite of subtlety, there was a cute girl in the hero's party, so I tried confessing to her. Episode 10 sees the What is language? What are words?
We just don't know.
We get the triumphant return of the magic swordsman of Black Lightning, because Yoki needs to pose as someone else in order initially to help Gar the Gargoyle become an adventurer, and then Cecilia decides that she's going to also start accompanying Yoki. And she has a nun disguise. So she becomes Cecily the nun, and they go on a quest together, and, when they're camping, Yoki covers for his awkwardness at the thought of camping with Cecilia by getting super extra tuney, which she is not thrilled about. And they complete the quest, and they get back to town, and he takes the mask off, and suddenly multiple days of accumulated cringe hits him all at once. Which was good. That was a good moment. In Tune Into the Midnight Heart, episode 10, the four girls, none of whom has any more romantic experience than being in the midst of their first ever crush, run a love advice show over the tannoy, which is a wild choice, and they have very normal feelings about it all. And yet somehow Shinobu, the club president, understands the thing that so many rom-com characters get wrong, where if a train is going past you as you're trying to tell someone something important, you wait until the train's gone past.
Yep.
Thank God for one brief moment of common sense somewhere in this document.
And it was from this show.
And it was from this fucking show! Now, this show, honestly, has steadily gotten way more grounded. It made a very rough first impression because Yamabuki is such a piece of shit at first. But the balance of power has shifted so completely to him getting owned that it's now much more tolerable.
See, I figured this would happen because I remember detectives these days are crazy.
Fair enough. Anyway, we're also still watching Shiba Yugi playing death games to put food on the table, which is mid-arc. Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife, which we talked about a lot last week. A Certain Magical Index, which is still ramping up. And Dougram, which has a bunch of stuff going on, but I want to talk about it sometime when we've got more time. Because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about from our viewing of older shows this week.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest topic, we finally reached the end of Season 2 of the Apothecary Diaries. We left off last week with all the kids in the She Fortress having been killed. They are okay. As we suspected, there was a thing with the resurrection potion and stuff, and they all come back. Yeah, we get a great dramatic climax here. We get the truth coming out about Jinshi. We get all the reveals of how horrible and twisted the She clan matriarch Shenmei is, and the effect that that's had on like generations of the situation in the Rear Palace. There's loads of this left to come. I forget, is there another series of this coming up?
Yep, there is. It's not airing until October.
Good. I am entirely happy to watch more of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. Like, all the way through, it's never dull. And it's never upsetting, particularly, except where it is doing something dramatic for dramatic effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. It feels very weird to me because of the setting. Like, because this is, like, it's a Japanese show about a not terribly well-defined medieval China. Like, it's not really anchored to any one point in the history of China.
Set in a fictional country inspired by China in the Tang Dynasty.
It's just like, here's kind of China-ish. And it is probably kind of appropriative in that sense. You know, the political tensions between China and Japan are something that we are very much insulated from by distance, physical and cultural.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have seen some Chinese people commenting on some things that are weird about the show from that perspective.
Yeah.
But the overall effect for us as Western audience is, it's kind of not like very much else that's out there.
Yep. To be fair, it is a sensation because it's not like much else that's out there in Japanese industry either. So.
Yes. And it is so intricate and so carefully thought out. I mean, really, both seasons are dealing with this conspiracy by the She clan, are building up to the reveal of this conspiracy to rebel by the She clan. And it's so subtle that you don't even realize that conspiracy mystery is the genre of the show for about a season and a half, which I think is very, very cool as a thing for a mystery to do.
It's also like a real slow burn as far as that goes, because I think we've said this before, like, we have covered via 48 episodes of anime 4 volumes of the series, which has 16 currently.
Yeah.
It's a dense series.
Yeah, I looked at the manga on the shelf in Forbidden Planet, and it's like, there's so much of this shit. Help. But it's good. I'm glad we're getting more of it.
Yeah. This is unrelated, but I'm also similarly glad we're getting part 3 of Ascension of a Bookworm next season.
Yeah, like, I kind of feel there's a vibe similarity there, which, you know, they are very different shows genre-wise. The isekai stuff really makes a difference to Bookworm relative to this. But they are also both shows about a little creature of a girl dealing with these complex power structures.
By someone who is capable of producing a lot of world building. Like,
yeah.
And like, I've said it before, Ascension of a Bookworm, 33 volumes for the main story, and they've started a, like, spin-off sequel that is on, like, 2 or 3 volumes now. It's
grief.
a lot.
Yeah.
Speaking of isekai!
Speaking of long isekai.
Not that long. The anime adaptation is pretty lengthy, but
yes,
source material's only 17 volumes before they went on hiatus.
So we had a spare week where we needed to fill 3 episodes worth of time with Tara. And I proposed that we watch just the first 3 episodes of a show that was bizarrely formative for me in my anime watching, which is Kyokara Maou, or From Today I'm the Demon King. The reason this is formative for me, when I was an undergrad, I joined the University Anime Society, and they did a screening every week, and we had several regular shows that we watched some of every week, and then guest shows each week and stuff. And for the first year, one of the shows was Kyokara Maou. It was the first BL show I ever watched. By virtue of this arrangement, it was one of the first fan-subbed shows I watched. And I'd watched enough anime before seeing it that, this didn't become like a boss baby thing for me or anything. It wasn't like, oh, I think this is what anime is. Even though I think I've told the story about how my mum had only heard of anime and manga in the context of BL. So when I first got into anime, she thought I was going around to a friend's house, a male friend's house, to watch gay porn with him. Anyway, part of my reason for picking this was that it is formative for me in those regards. Part of it is also, this is an isekai anime.
Mm-hmm.
It started life as a light novel in the year 2000. The anime ran for 5 years, 2004 to 2009. And it is isekai as a already pretty well-defined format, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I would love your perspective on how the isekai stuff works.
I mean, it's in the same vein, I think, as like Inuyasha, where there's like a physical portal where, well, not physical, but like a stable portal where someone can go from one side to the other, and that involves some plot points. But I don't know what you want me to say about it. It's isekai, TM.
It's interesting because the thing that happens is that Yuri intervenes with some bullies, and they decide as a reprisal to flush his head down the toilet, but he actually gets sucked down the toilet into another world. And then at the end of 3 episodes, he falls into some other body of water and turns up back at the toilet. He can actually, water serves as his gateway between the worlds. He ends up, falling in water and transferring between worlds a bunch in different ways throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways it's very typical stuff. He is transported to this other world where he is to become the Demon King. And he has a, dark, demonic, magical power in him that makes him look a bit like Lelouch from Code Geass. Although he predates Lelouch from Code Geass, so Lelouch looks like him. But, it's from about the same period as Hana-kimi, Karekano. It has some of that weird tonal mix of, we have serious dark politics about racial tensions between humans and demons where they hate each other and kill each other and stuff. But we also have ridiculous comedy, fantasy BL world building, where Yuri is at dinner with one of the princes of this kingdom who hates humans, hates that Yuri is part human, and is shit-talking all humans, and Yuri slaps him. And it turns out that a slap is how you propose marriage in this world.
Not just a slap, the specific way he slapped him.
Yes.
Which, I mean, if they were playing a very different genre game than it feels like they're trying to do, sure, do that for comedy's sake. But I feel like it's not so much that the tone varies so wildly, it's that there's no, time for any of the tones to breathe. Because I've said this a lot of fiction is very good at having multitudes when it comes to tone and moments that are you wouldn't expect, Yakuza to have really silly bullshit and really serious Yakuza drama in the same work of fiction, but finding a way to, have buffers between those, it's what makes those work. And this just feels a little too rapid to do that.
Yes, it's everything everywhere all at once. And it does kind of stay that way. From the bits of it that I remember, which admittedly I watched this 20 years ago, it just stays like that. It just zigzags constantly. Some things do settle down and relationships get a chance to develop and stuff, but it's pretty wild the whole time. I'm skipping over our last bullet point.
Yeah.
But that means we have to talk about Outbreak Company, episode 7, and I think you don't particularly want to talk about this one either.
I mean, this is an anime original episode, yes. So it's way less something that I can actually, stick to defending.
Yeah. So in this episode, Shinichi insists on going back to Japan. Musil manages to sneak along with him, even though she's not supposed to. And once there, Shinichi takes Musil to visit Akihabara, which ought to kill her dead in an instant with, sensory overload. There's
to be
no
fair,
way
she is the most dosed with anime nonsense out of the entire other world. She has been...
It's true, but when she first gets to Japan, she gets giddy about, a vending machine and one of those, children crossing here road signs.
Yep.
Anyway, they go to Akiba. They go around Akiba doing, like, typical Akiba things, and then they go to a maid cafe. And something to me feels really weirdly wrong about, like, already we're in the milieu of Japanese representations of medieval societies with the Japanese idea of what a maid is in Musil.
Mm-hmm.
And she's an actual maid, and taking her to a maid cafe feels fucked up to me.
Yeah, do you mind me saying what you said?
No, don't say what I said. I made a comment which I was reaching for a word that I don't think exists, and I ended up on a word that I regret using, and which I don't want to repeat here.
Yeah, it's not like a slur or anything, but
no,
it's just really embarrassing. So I will leave it at that then.
Thank you.
See, I'm nice to you sometimes.
But yeah, like, you know that meme about dinosaur nuggies and how they're made from chickens which are dinosaurs?
Yes.
Like, and yet an image of the true self remains in the false self, or something is the text. It's a Baudrillard reference, I think. This folded my brain over on itself in the same way.
All from something that doesn't happen in the light novel.
And then they get back to Shinichi's place, and, like, he's running a bath for Musil, and she changes into one of his t-shirts, and it's got some phrase on it. It's not quite chase your dreams. Or,
no, it is not so chaste as that. It is be true to your desires.
That's right. And she's fallen asleep in his bed wearing just this t-shirt. Maybe panties, we can't...
No, he got back with her underwear. Remember? That's why he left the house to go buy her underwear.
Right, yes. And he had a very normal one in the shop.
This entire episode is him having a very normal one.
But yeah, like, she's lying in bed wearing this shirt that says, be true to your desires, apparently asleep, and he reverts to, like, horny anime teen boy stereotype. That he hasn't really shown much of being that recently. A little bit here and there.
Because this is anime original and not from the light novel. Shocker.
Yeah, well, it's bad and weird.
Yes! But I repeat myself.
Yeah, sure. But we watched it anyway.
Yep.
It's over now. And we also finally finished Scrap Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it's just hard to talk about in the way that we normally talk about things.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fantasy story. A young girl is charged with a terrible duty and suffers greatly for...
Yeah, I think it's also extra hard to talk about because it's Chika again.
Yes.
Which we already did this once, but I don't know. The tone and the era it's from just make it really hard for my brain to find something to talk about with this one, is the problem.
Yeah, like, there's a bunch of stuff with religion, and, you know, we are so used to talking about Japanese representations of, like, vaguely Christian faiths from talking about JRPGs so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we have anything particularly to add to that here.
Yeah, the thing that I think I will say on our behalf is that if this story was in a JRPG, it would probably have spent more time focusing on things that we could have had interesting insights about. But the way it's paced in an anime especially is not really the way that fits our anime discussion priorities.
And there is some good character stuff as well, but it's hard to leverage that because of how complex the world building and everything is. We did get an absolutely incredible line at the moment where Pacifica's power is unleashed, where by this point, Shannon and the Dragoons are battling the Peacemakers in space, because the Peacemakers have gone up into space, because there they can use their, like, final top-tier forms. So they're outside the atmosphere, and suddenly the world is covered in Pacifica magic. And one of the Peacemakers says, and I quote, "The sealed world has gone into autistic mode."
Yep.
Which, it's one of those, I get what they mean. I get what they were going for. This is from 20 years ago. This would not fly today for lots of good reasons. But I also think it is quite, you know, autistic is a word that the localizer chose here to represent a word in Japanese. I didn't catch whether she actually said autistic in Japanese or whatever the Japanese word for autism is. I think it is potentially interesting to think about the kind of sudden paralysis that affects the world in that moment where Pacifica's power to throw off the yoke of the hostile god manifests as relating to different patterns of sensation and social perception. Like, in a world where autism was generally better understood, and where framing autism as a disability is such a contested issue. Sorry, isn't such a contested issue. I think that could be a really interesting metaphor to explore.
Mm-hmm. For the record, the word autistic was also used in the English dub. I just checked.
Uh-huh.
Which is, a choice. A choice was made.
Yep. Anyway, Pacifica's power unleashes, she saves the world, they all live happily ever after, except Leo, who proposes to Pacifica in the denouement, and she slaps him and tells him he's not good enough for her. Because girl knows her worth.
Girl is also still pining after Shannon.
Yeah, like, Shannon is better than Leo.
Yeah. This is also just Chika again, except by the time Chika rolls around, polyamory is invented, so... Red Chika, White Chika, and Akari are all really into Toru, so fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're approaching the end of our third full season of the show, and we've been reevaluating this, by which I mean Val sat me down the other day and was like, hey, you're overworking, we need to cut back.
Yeah.
So we are going to be doing some sort of changing to our schedule for the next season. It's going to be less content. Hopefully it's going to be more focused content. I think something that happens when I am pressed for time is that I have less time to do the preparation well, which actually results in longer episodes, which mean I have less. It's a vicious circle.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try to tighten things up by making things a bit more focused, cutting the schedule down a bit, and we will have more information about what that's actually going to look like closer to the time.
Probably when we're closer to the stream when we go over what we'll be talking about next season.
Yes.
Which will still be happening.
That will definitely still be happening. So yeah, heads up that that's incoming. So we're watching that right is a project of Slimebug Productions. Intro and outro music is by me, graphics are by Val. You can find us on Blue Sky at slimebug.bsky.social, YouTube at youtube.com/@slimebugproductions, Patreon at patreon.com/slimebugproductions. Download all episodes from Libsyn at slimebug.pro and join our Discord via the link in the description. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may anime neither betray nor disappoint you.